Hey guys, today I am seed starting a bunch of stuff and I just wanted to show you really quick one of my favorite ways to seed start. Alright guys, these are the soil blockers that I'm using. I'm using the 2-inch block. You can see it here. I've had this for a few years and I've only ever stored it outside in the elements, so I haven't taken very good care of it, but it's held up nicely considering. And then I've also got this 1/2-inch block, which is perfect for the beginning of your seed starts for things like lettuce and smaller type seeds, not really for peas and things like that. You're also going to need a concrete mixing pan. That's just what I'm using, but you can use anything that has a flat bottom to it for mixing your soil and for soil blocking in. You can get like really cheap kitty litter boxes at Walmart for I think $3, and that would work perfect too. Also, I've got some trays to put my blocks in and to seed start in, and some seeds. So the most important thing you need to have for the soil blockers is obviously soil, but it can't just be any soil. It has to be a soil that compacts well and is pretty fibrous. So my favorite type of soil to use is this Burpee organic potting mix, the one that's made from like the coconut husks. So this one you can use just by itself. I like to mix in a little bit of just the coconut husk mix into it because I just feel like it makes for a better soil, but this by itself would work perfectly. And it is organic. This one's made of 95% coconut husk. This one has coconut husk and compost and organic fertilizers in it. So I really like these two, and the reason I chose these, you'll notice if you watch any other soil blocking videos that they'll tell you to use peat moss. I do not use peat moss in anything anymore because it's not a very good renewable resource. We've exhausted pretty much all of our wetlands in the US because of the harvesting of peat moss. It takes like 3 years after it's harvested for it to ever grow back. So I don't like to use peat moss in anything, and this coconut husk is awesome because it's a really great renewable resource and you can use it as much as you want, and it's not actually damaging the plant or cutting down trees or anything like that. It's a really, really great source, and it just works really, really well for this. So I'm going to show you the back of the bag here so you can see what's in this big bag of soil. So pause this video if you want this information before you go and purchase it. And same thing for this other bag. So this bag, I've got one open here. You can see the soil. Let me grab a good chunk of it. It's really light and fluffy. It's very fibrous. It's just perfect for soil blocking. And again, you can add your own compost to this if you want to. This is just the coconut husk with a little bit of perlite and some fertilizer. This larger bag is actually that stuff mixed in with compost. So this one is ready to go. So you could do it either way. If you make your own compost, you could just mix this in with your compost and that will hold the blocks together. So I'm gonna do about 75% of the compost and coconut, the potting mix, and then I'm going to add a little bit of this in with it to make it a little bit more fibrous. So now we're going to add just a little bit of water at a time. You don't want to add too much at a time because you want your soil to just be damp but not muddy. So I'm going to show you in a little area here what your soil should look like. So see this soil, it kind of easily falls apart. It's not quite ready yet. It needs to be a little bit more moist. You just want it to be able to clump really well. So see, it's still falling apart a little bit. I need a little more water in there. So once it gets to about that stage where it stays together nicely and you can roll it around your hand, that's exactly how you want your soil to look. And go ahead and get the rest of it ready. Alright, so my soil's all ready. You can see it's not muddy, but it's clumping together pretty nice. So we're going to start off with the 2-inch soil block first. So what you want to do is just make sure your soil is nice and level, and you're just going to stamp down and twist and then you're gonna kind of rock it up and get more soil under there. And you're gonna keep doing that. And you just keep twisting, and then I like to rock the corners up just in case that I'm putting less pressure on the outside. That tends to be where I usually have smaller blocks. So you just give it a little twist, and now you're going to either pick it up this way or pick it up that way just to make sure that these don't fall out. And you're gonna bring it over to your tray, and this lever right here, you're gonna put your fingers in between here, and you're gonna squeeze down, and you'll see that water starts to pool on the inside because you're kind of squeezing the blocks. And then you're going to pull it up. And then now you've got your soil blocks. So this is what the block looks like. And you'll notice there's a little hole at the top for your seed. Now, if you're gonna be using this along with this, meaning you're gonna start your seeds in this, and then when they get big enough, you wanna transfer them to the bigger block, you're going to need these little adapters that I brought. They look like this, and I'm gonna show you how to put these inside this soil block so that when your seedlings get bigger, you can put these little blocks into there, but we're gonna use this first. All right, so for this little guy, it's the same thing. Make sure your soil is nice and level. You're going to stamp it down, and you're just gonna do this twisting motion while you're pressing down, and you're gonna continuously grab more soil. All right, I think that's just about good. So we'll bring it over here so you can see these. Now normally I would put something down because this tray is grooved. You kind of want a flat surface for these little ones because they're really tiny. So again, you're gonna press down and up, and then now you've got these little tiny blocks for seed starting. All right, so now we want to put these plugs into this soil block so that these blocks will have a little square opening so these could fit inside. So what you're gonna do is on the top here, you'll see that there's these little plugs. You're just going to pinch those and they should pop right out. They come out really easily. So that's what those look like. Put those away because you may want to use them later. I tend to seed start in these bigger blocks when I have bigger seeds like beans and things like that. All right, so really simple for these. You're just going to stick them on the inside. You can kind of see where it lines up. And make sure you put a washer on there. Sorry, kind of hard to see there. And you're gonna screw them on. So I'm just gonna get them started with my fingers, and then I'll go in and finish them off with a screwdriver. And you're gonna do that for each one of these little blocks here. All right, so once you've got them in there, that's what they'll look like, and you can just go in and kind of tweak them to make them straight, but it's okay if they're a little off. It's not gonna make any difference to the plant. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing we did before. We're gonna even out our soil here, and we're gonna start building our blocks. And you'll notice as you go along and you've made a few blocks that your soil is going to get wetter and wetter because you're kind of pushing a lot of that water out. Just go ahead and add more compost if that happens. Right. Make sure I got my end pieces. All right, now we're going to bring it over to our tray. Squeeze. And lift up. So now we've got those perfect little blocks there, and these little blocks are the ones that fit right inside. So they just plug right in there. So when you start your seedlings, you'll pick all of your good seedlings that are ready to move into a bigger pot or bigger block in this case, and you'll just stick them right in there. So pretty neat. So the reason I like to use soil blocks for seed starting is because it's so much better for the plant. It builds a much more dense root ball. And how that works is because the blocks aren't really touching when they're in the tray, so the roots will grow out and they'll get to this sidewall, and once they hit the air, they'll stop, and then they'll shoot off a bunch of those little sort of microscopic hair roots from those roots, and it'll go on and on and on until the entire plant has this really nice root ball that is sort of saturated in this block, and that just makes the plant a lot healthier. It forces it to grow a lot more roots so that when they're ready to transplant, they do so much better. So another reason why I like to use soil blocks is it saves me a lot of money. I don't have to buy seed starting trays that are already filled with little blocks of soil. I could just make as many as I want. I can use whatever trays I want. These trays are just some Jiffy trays that cost me less than $3 a piece, and I can use these for years and years and years and get my money's worth out of them. So I'll make sure to post all the links to all of these goodies down below. Make sure you check it out. I highly recommend this method of seed starting, but stay tuned all this month because I'm going to show you several other ways to seed start, including a way to seed start hydroponically.